It's 6:30 in Central Europe and time for Nightside. And let's welcome your host now, Chris Davala.
That's all right. You know, we're delighted that all of you are here for our first Nightside studio party. We hope it's going to be the start of some big things for us on Nightside, and we thank you for coming on this payday and taking in the free concert. And to our listeners who are with us from Munich to Berlin, Bremerhaven, Stuttgart, Kaiserslautern, and Shape, we say good evening. Anywhere they are, that's right, we say good evening, and we welcome you. And now, one of the key attractions of this evening's program. Ladies and gentlemen, would you welcome, please, from Cleveland, Ohio, the Raspberries! Lead vocalist and rhythm guitarist for Raspberries. Eric, we want to welcome you to Nightside and thank you so much for coming this evening. Tell us about your second album and how it differs from the first.
Well, the second album we recorded more as a live album than the first one. After we did our first album, we realized that some of the songs on it, a lot of the songs on it were ballad sort of format and had strings and utilized more orchestration than what we wanted to do on stage, and we needed some more up-tempo, kind of good-timey numbers for on stage. So we wrote the second album primarily with that in mind, the idea of going out and being able to get across to a crowd rather than just, in person rather than just on record. So the second album we concentrated on making everything a little bit more good-spirited and more basic instrumentals and less orchestration and just having a good time.
You, as I understand, recently moved into a new apartment.
About a year ago.
About a year ago. That's recent for some of us.
Right.
But there's an interesting thing about the room that overlooks the lake.
Right.
What's the interesting
Well,
thing?
it's just, it's on the 21st floor. That's
Yeah.
one thing that's about it.
Do we have a piano in there?
Right.
Do you
That's
have
all.
anything else?
That's all.
That's what I wanted
That's
to
the
drive
interesting
at. That's
thing.
the interesting thing to
Aha.
many of us. Is this where you do most of the creations
Yeah.
that come into your head?
Most of the writing that I do is done in my living room on my piano. That's all.
Has this always been the case for you, that you get into an environment separate from...
I try. Yeah, I didn't put any other furniture in my living room because primarily everything else I own is in the bedroom.
It must be pretty crowded, Eric.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's,
Where did the Raspberries go back, what, about 2 years now? Or
2 years, yeah.
2 odd years. And what was the nature of the group getting together?
we had all been playing together in different groups for about 6 or 7 years, you know, in the Cleveland area, northeastern suburbs of Ohio. And those three guys had been in a group together called The Choir, which had a national semi-hit called It's Cold Outside. And Wally and I had been together in a group called Cyrus Erie, which had made a couple of really miserably unsuccessful records for a company which shall remain nameless. And we'd all just been playing rock and roll all through that whole period, and everybody else in the city, and there were a lot of musicians, were primarily turning to different things, you know, blues and psychedelic and country and western and all kinds of other offshoots of it. And we stayed playing rock and roll the whole time, so it was sort of logical that the four of us would sort of fall together and form this group.
There are many who see Raspberries filling a void which has been left open since about 1968 or 69. Do you think that you're filling a certain void in the rock idiom?
I think so. Before we came onto the scene, there was a definite, well, since 1968, there's been this demise of the harmony rock and roll band, you know, that has been, you know, other things are out, you know, popped up in its place, like Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, that used a lot of harmony, but they were more country and western oriented or more folk oriented than groups like the Beatles and the Bee Gees and the Hollies, and those are the groups that we had our roots in listening to when we started playing. And so by us coming into the thing, I think the only other group that was doing anything similar to what we were at the time that we started was Badfinger. Yeah. And we both started right almost exactly at the same time. They were a little before us, but they're older than us, so that's okay.
Okay. What are you going to play for us next?
We're going to do a song from our first album.
Okay.
And it's called Come Around and See Me.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, the Raspberries on Nightside.
Test. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, if you want me to wait forever, I will. Though you say you may love me, never, you will. A lover's song is mine, you shouldn't be denied my love. You end up by my side, just wait and see me. If you want me to wait forever, I will. And though you say you may love me, never, you will. Although I know you tried, there's nowhere left to hide my love. You'll end up by my side. Come around and see me. Don't ever think I'll be cruel to you. I'm a fool for you. Come around and see me. La 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 la. And if you want me to wait forever, I will. And though you say you may love me never, you will. Though I've never lied, you'll never be denied my love. You end up at my side, come around and see me. Come around and see me. Come around and see me. Yeah. Oh, oh, oh. Come around and see me. Oh, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
The Raspberries. Hey, we have David Smalley with us now. David, you're the bassist for the Raspberries. You know, there's some beautiful incongruities as we look at the group. Some articles have been written that say, you know, you take a name like the Raspberries in this era when names like Uriah Heep and Deep Purple are rather common. How did the name Raspberries come about?
Well, it's kind of a long story. When the group was first put together, they sat around and tried to think of like what would be a good name for like the type of music and the type of band we are, because a name has a lot to do with sometimes a band. You know, if it sounds like a Iron this or that, it's really heavy. If it's something else, it's bubblegum or something. And we couldn't think of something that really fit our music and stuff, you know. So after about 2 weeks of sitting around at practices saying, oh man, what are we going to do for a name, you know? I think it was Eric just kind of threw out, Raspberries. You know, the thing from the Little Rascals? And everybody went, Raspberries, you know. Well, so we just took it from there, and that was the Raspberries.
Tell me about the early days of Raspberries being together. What kind of things were you doing? I know that what you had was a couple of, not a couple, but quite a few record companies coming to see you at a place called CJ's, I think it was?
JB's.
JB's in Cleveland, right, which was a hot place or something like that?
Yeah.
Well, tell us about those times and what happened thereafter.
Well, for about a year and a half, we played around Cleveland and did local clubs, a lot of club dates and stuff like that at, you know, hot little clubs where the atmosphere was really nice. I liked it. Everybody is, you know, like half drunk and just sitting around and it's smoky and you're having a good time. You know?
Yeah.
And we liked doing that, but then we made some dubs of some originals that we had written and sent these to New York to some people that we knew, who in turn played them for some people. And our producer, who's Jimmy Einer, heard the dubs that we had sent.
Yeah.
And he came into Cleveland, and he came to hear the group, and he liked us very much. So he took the dubs to some record people and said, you know, he played it for them. And about eight or nine record companies were interested, and they came to Cleveland to hear us. And in fact, they came to the place, JB's,
Yeah.
that little nightclub.
Right.
And after some talking with everyone, we decided that we would go with Capitol Records. So Capitol's our label now. And then we went to New York and we recorded our first album with Capitol.
And where did you record that? At the record plant?
The record plant in New York City. And from there, that's where we are now.
Yeah, I understand you were just over near Cannes, if not in Cannes recently.
Yeah, we were in Cannes.
What was the occasion?
4 days. They had, it's like a music, a meeting of publishers and music people, and they decided to have it at Meadham, which is, is it pronounced Cannes or Can?
Either way.
Yeah, well, I didn't know if it was. I keep calling
I
it
go
Can,
back
you
and
know,
forth,
some
David,
French
and
people
myself.
would look at me and go, Can? So we were asked to play at this festival, and there were about, I don't know, 7 or 8 groups performing on each night, and we liked it. You know, we really liked it there. The people, and this is our first trip to Europe.
Oh, is that
Yeah,
right?
first time we've been here. We really like, you know, the people are friendly and we had a good time.
Yeah, you were just down in Stuttgart too, weren't you?
Right, before we came up here, we were in Stuttgart. We did a TV show down there, I think. Yeah.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, can you tell us a little bit about what your part was, or what the nature of the show was?
Well, we really weren't sure like what they were going to do with it. We went in and we did like a taping,
Yeah.
you know, and they're going to use that on their show, I guess, you know, like, I don't know if it's a rock show, I think, and, you know, they'll just put it in with whatever show they have that night or something.
So any of our listeners down in the Baden-Württemberg areas, they pick us up, you know, on a thing called AFN Stuttgart, so they can be looking forward to seeing you guys on the screen.
Good.
Okay, let's hear some more Raspberries music on Nightside's mini concert, okay?
Okay.
What's coming up?
What are we going to do? Okay, this is a song from our second album. It's kind of a country-flavored song. You know,
Okay.
for country people. Ready?
1, 2,
'Gonna tonight, Mama, I'm gonna be staying home. You walked out a week ago, and I'm here sitting by my telephone, hoping you might change your mind. Feeling sorry I was so unkind. Gonna know it tonight, Mama, can't take it no more. I called your number and your daddy said you just gone out the door. How could you throw it all away? I never thought I'd see the day that I'd be. Gonna know it tonight, Mama, I'm gonna be staying home. You walked out a week ago, and I'm here sitting by my telephone, hoping you might change your mind. Feeling sorry I was so unkind. Don't go at night, Mom. Don't go at night, Mom. Don't go at night, Mom.
Thanks.
Do you sing?
Well, we call it that. Yeah.
Eric says they call it that.
Yeah, I sing a little bit.
Tell us about a typical rehearsal that Raspberries would have. How often do you get together to jam, or when you're not working professionally on stage, or what have you?
Well, before we became big time, we used to practice twice a week. Every Monday and Tuesday we'd practice, start around 9 and go till about 5 or 6 in the morning. You know, we had a club that was, well, we played there on Sundays, so we just practiced there Monday and Tuesday nights. And that was our schedule. You know,
Yeah.
we'd practice Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday we wouldn't do anything, and then we'd play Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then start all over again. But
Or
now,
did you have other jobs on the side at that point, Jim?
you mean besides the band?
Yeah, besides
no,
music. Or
No,
was music the sole thing?
no, that was it. From the beginning of the group, we were so busy.
Yeah.
You know, when we first started, we played 8 days out of a week. You know,
Right.
and it got so bad that like Eric's throat was getting bad and everything. We had to cut down,
Yeah.
and that's when we stuck to that schedule. But now we practice every chance we get. You know. Sometimes we know if we're really touring a lot, we won't get to practice for maybe a month. And then another problem that just entered into the picture was the club that we were practicing at burned down. And see, after the last time we used it, so we're kind of wondering now what we're going to do, you know, when we go back home.
To make a poor joke, it's a bad way of setting a place on fire.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So what's ahead when you go back?
We're, let's see, what are we going to do? I forgot. I think we're going to rehearse. That's what we're going to do.
Okay.
And we're going to play on the weekends.
Yeah.
And then the following month, which will be April, we're going to do another album.
What's going to be on that album?
10 songs.
Okay. And in those 10 songs, there will be about 58,000 notes, right?
Probably.
Okay.
No, I don't know. We're still working on the songs. We don't
Well,
even
the
know.
thing I was trying to develop was that in the first album we had heavy, large orchestration for Raspberries. Okay,
Right.
in this album we didn't see so much of the orchestration, but rather more of the stuff that you can do on stage as you do it in the studio, which is what we understand you're out to do, right?
Right.
So is there going to be a further development in this next album of 10 songs?
It'll be along the lines of I Want to Be With You and Go All the Way. It'll be even less strings and more rock and roll, more up-tempo, a little bit harder. Just more rock and roll than what we've been doing so far.
Okay. Let's hear some more now. What's next?
What's next?
Seems like we had a little jam
Yeah.
between now and the time you go out for commercial.
Is that right?
Oh, no, not yet. We're going to break for a commercial at about 6:59, so we still have time for another one, I think, huh?
Well, then, we can...
This is Process Radio, we might point out, too, and I do want to say hello to our friends who are listening to us in England this evening.
hello,
We're going out to
England.
England. You want to say?
Hello, England.
Okay, good. Okay, Jim.
How's the king?
All right. The Raspberries and more music on the Night Concert. Yeah, you want to do another one? Take us out. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, if you want to give us a jam until we have some news. Okay, it would then be called Raspberry Jam, I suppose, on Nightside on the American Forces Network Europe.
Listening to the Nightside Studio Party from Frankfurt. And let's welcome once again our host of Nightside, Chris Davala.
Thank you, sir. Oh. You mean I can come back after those poor funds, too? Ladies and gentlemen, would you welcome, please, once again, the Raspberries?
When I see the way she looks at him, looks so bad, you know it's such a sin to see her love while I just walk on by. But nobody knows what it does to me. Nobody knows. No one could ever see. Nobody knows what it does to me. Now those tender looks upon her face are meant for someone else who's in my place, and he's a lover the way I used to be. Oh, but nobody knows what it does to me. Nobody
our Nightside studio party. Wally Bryson's coming over now. Wally is lead guitarist for the Raspberries. Wally, there seems to be something interesting about you and the West Coast and Whiskey A Go-Go.
Oh, yeah.
You were there once, and then you came back.
When I was very poor, I went out to Los Angeles and bummed around for a while, and I used to hang out outside the Whiskey because I didn't have the money to get in, you know. And last time we went out there, they had the whole side of the Whiskey. They had a big poster, that one there, as a matter of fact, up on the whole wall. So it was like a real turnaround for me in a matter of a couple years.
We might point out to our radio audience that the poster Wally is pointing to is a picture of the Raspberries.
Second album, yeah.
Yeah, second album, Fresh Raspberries, and it says direct from the grower on the top, which is true.
Yeah.
The Raspberries, up until recently, as I understand it, appeared on stage in identical costumes. Now, this produced some consternation from some rock critics and some people who may not have taken you as seriously as they otherwise would have. Mm-hmm. Why did you go on stage with identical dress?
Well, we've always been different. And at this point in rock music, the only way to be different from just about any other band is to wear suits. You know, we started out, Dave and I and Jim, when we were in like 10th grade in high school. And all the bands had very short hair and all wore suits. And so we wore long hair and dressed grubby, as they called it back then.
Oh, even at that time?
Now
let's set the stage. What year
that was
were
like
these?
7 years ago.
Okay.
And right 7 or 8 years ago, right when the Beatles first came out, the Beatles and the Stones.
Yeah.
Now at this point, just about everybody dresses the way we did back then.
In
and
grubbies.
So we gave it a try. And it wasn't that bad, except that we got tired of the suits that we had. So we're having some new ones made for us, and possibly we might start dressing identically again. I'm not sure.
You just got tired of the suits, and that's why you got away from them?
When you play on stage in any material, personally, I sweat a whole lot.
Yeah.
You do that. Well, I do. Everybody does. I've been told everybody does. I don't know. You wear any kind of material, and you do that for like 2, 3, 4 nights in a row in a week, you know. No matter even if you get it cleaned every night, the thing just falls apart.
Yeah.
No matter what you pay for it. I've worn cheap clothes and they fall apart. Expensive clothes fall apart. So we got tired of those suits very quickly.
So now when you are appearing on stage or for TV or for a performance such as this, which is radio-oriented, as we know, you just kind of wear what you feel like, what you're comfortable in?
We went to Los Angeles and got a bunch of new clothes that we can't purchase in our hometown of Cleveland.
Yes.
Cleveburg. And we all decided for a while we'd like to wear some of the things that we bought, you know. Like this, I bought this in Los Angeles. It's a leather outfit.
It's black leather slacks, and then you have on a black top, which is open, and a V-neck type just about down to the bottom of your rib cage, I'd say.
Yeah, for all you girls out there.
Raspberries music is good time music. Lorraine Alterman, I think, in a Melody Maker article, was saying something about you're busting through the sequins with the power of rock music. Do you have any idea what Lorraine meant by that?
Busting through the sequins
with the power of your rock music, to paraphrase what Lorraine said.
That's pretty far out. I guess maybe she saw one of our rock concerts somewhere. I think she saw us a few times, and she really enjoyed the band and was pretty flipped about it, you know.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what she's saying in her own way, you know.
It could be the start of a new revolution, blasting away showers of sequins with smartly tailored rock, with the emphasis on
she's
smart.
talking about, you know, clothes there, I think.
Which is the
in
old
a way
clothes.
too.
Okay.
You know, she's talking about, I guess, the whole concept of our band there in one short sentence there.
Word
they
merchants.
wrap it all up into one quick line, you know.
Like direct from the grower?
Oh, yeah. That just says it all, don't it?
Hey, well, we have our studio audience and our studio party here. Would you,
Yes,
Raspberries, give to us a portion of your stage act? We've broken it up now, having a chance to talk with each of you. But would you give us some music and, you know, what you do on stage?
Okay,
Good.
sure. Here, direct from the grower, is Rock and Roll Mama. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Rock and roll mama gets her kicks at the hop. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, it's all been said, it's over now. I guess that I should leave, 'cause there's nothing left for me to do except to set you free. So let me leave now before I cry. I'll just go back to my room and die. No one else inside can do this again. But if you change your mind, won't you take some time and let me know that you still want me to? 'Cause I'll wait night and day until you say that you have changed your mind. Won't you change your mind if you should change your mind? Well, I tried so hard to be the one that you were dreaming of, but I guess it wasn't quite enough to make you fall in love. So won't you leave me by myself and let me crawl back into my shell? Then you're the one that I knew so well before I met you. But if you change your mind, won't you take some time and let me know that you still want me to? 'Cause I'll wait night and day until you say that you have changed your mind. Won't you change your mind if you should change your mind? Oh yeah, I'll be waiting at home. Just call me up on the phone and I'll be by your side. There's no reason to hide. If you need me, just call. Don't you worry at all. But if this is the end and I can't see you again, I just can't carry on. It's so hard when you're gone. It's so hard when you're gone. Oh, 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 baby, don't leave. Thank you.
On Nightside at the studio party, we would now like to present to the Raspberries something that comes from the American Forces Network Europe. So, Eric, if you might step forward to accept this on behalf of the Raspberries. This is what's known as the Order of the Tintinnabulating Tonsils. And it says, if you're ready for some of this, where's Wally? He'll enjoy the words on this. Order of the tintinnabulating tonsils, and I'll read this code. Be it known that Raspberries, Eric, Wally, Dave, and Jim, having voluntarily and vociferously demonstrated a violently vibrating virile voices, and vast voluminous vocabularies, proving thereby to be a verbal and vocal virtuoso, are hereby and herewith appointed honorary AFN announcers, and as such are entitled to all the perquisites and prerogatives such high honor grants, they to include, but not be limited to, the right to suffer moist palms and a quivering glottis when confronted by the fearsome man-eating microphones, the right to listen at any time to the American forces, although not necessarily the right to comment concerning the quality of the contents thereon, and the right to be known from this date forward as a fast friend and friends of AFN, other honors as assigned. It's presented this 31st day of January 1973 here at Frankfurt, Germany, and it's signed by Harold W. Roeder, Lieutenant Colonel Armour, Commander of the American Forces Network Europe.
Thank you.
Now we'd like the Raspberries to take us up to 7:30 in time for Paul Harvey, and if you can give us something to close our mini concert and studio party, I think that would be cool. So Eric is coming back, as are the other three Raspberries.
One, two, 1, 2, 3.
Eric, Wally, David, and Jim, the Raspberries, and we want to thank them so very much for being a part of Nightside tonight and inaugurating our Nightside studio party. Gentlemen, thank you so much, and let's hear it again for the Raspberries.
All right.
Hello, Americans. This is Paul Harvey. Stand by for news.